Hello everyone, this is Movie Recap. Today we are going to introduce the movie X-Men: Apocalypse. In this film, we will see the oldest mutant on Earth. He regarded himself as a god and dominated everything. But he was forced to sleep underground for thousands of years. When he returns to the human world, he is about to bring a terrible disaster. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. His name is Apocalypse, and he is the oldest mutant on Earth. He rules over all the humans in the world. No one knows how long he has lived. Because whenever his body is about to die, he would ask his 4 guardians to help him find a new body. This time, they found a mutant with super healing ability. Apocalypse has many kinds of superpowers. Whenever he transfers his consciousness to a new body, he gains all the abilities of that body. And these abilities are infinitely stackable. The spell inside the pyramid is activated by the sunlight. Apocalypse's consciousness began to transfer to the new body. At that moment, the soldiers, who had already had enough of the oppression, took the opportunity to revolt. They smashed the stake, let a huge stone slide into the tampered passage. The allies inside immediately closed the door. Although these men were easily killed by the guardians. But the huge stone broke all the load-bearing pillars. The pyramid began to collapse, and the guardians were killed. At this point, the transfer of Apocalypse has reached the final moment. The last guardian exhausted his last strength to put a protective cover on Apocalypse before he died. Then they were buried together deep in the ground. Soon, thousands of years have passed. A group of believers who regarded Apocalypse as a god found his ruins. The sun shone through the hole they had dug. The spell on the pyramid was activated again, and Apocalypse awoke. When he comes out into the street, he finds that the world has become so strange. Suddenly, he was caught by a woman. She rolled her eyes, and then a storm blew up around her. The woman took the opportunity to steal the money of the merchant. She is Storm, who can control the weather. The group of vendors surrounded her, and Apocalypse came over. He gently raised his hand, and 3 people behind him were cut off by the sand. Then he rolled his eyes, the rest of the merchants integrated with the wall. Then Apocalypse came to Storm's home. Apocalypse, who had been asleep for thousands of years, wanted to know who ruled the world today. And he learned in a very simple way, just touch the TV with his hands. And he could connect to the satellite through the TV signal and get all the information he wanted to know. He soon learns that the world is in the hands of the powerful nations that have nuclear weapons. He didn't think that humans, once like ants, would dare to rule the world. This was a betrayal of him, and he decided to clean up the world. Let the noble mutants back in charge of the Earth. And the first step is to reconvene the 4 guardians. He has a very unbelievable skill, can greatly enhance the superpower of mutants. Storm was enhanced by him and became his first follower. The second mutant Apocalypse found was Psylocke, who could turn his powers into various weapons. Apocalypse rolled his white eyes once again. Psylocke's numinous power was instantly enhanced by tens of times. In addition to Apocalypse's brainwashing words, Psylocke was also successfully subdued by him. In Psylocke's introduction, they found a 3rd mutant Angel. Angel's wings had been badly damaged in a battle and had become tattered and torn. But after some strengthening by Apocalypse, his body began to shed its bones. A few moments later, the pair of tattered feather wings disappeared. Instead, a pair of powerful metal wings. Not only has the killing power increased dramatically, but the appearance has also become unbelievably cool. And the final appearance of the final mutant is our old friend named Magneto. His eyes are filled with sadness and hatred. He wants to kill all these workers in front of him. Originally, he had been living as an ordinary person, but this day the factory furnace suddenly broke. In order to save people, he subconsciously used his superpowers. He was reported by the workers, and the police wanted to arrest him. Because in their eyes, mutants are extremely dangerous existence. In order to protect his wife and daughter, Magneto was willing to be arrested. But his daughter is also a mutant, and she doesn't want the police to take her father away. So she summoned a flock of birds to attack the police. A policeman loosened his sword in panic, and the mother and daughter were shot on the spot. Magneto held their bodies in grief. His wife and daughter were the only thing he had left of the world. Now they are dead, then you all go to bury it. Magneto, completely blackened, sacrificed his daughter's necklace. After killing the police, it was the next turn to report his workers. Just then, Apocalypse teleported over. Knowing that Magneto wanted to kill these people, he rolled his eyes and these workers were all buried in the ground. Apocalypse then brought Magneto to the place where his parents were killed by humans. Thinking about the death of his parents and his wife and daughter, Magneto's heart was completely taken over by darkness. His ability is an important tool for Apocalypse to destroy the world. After Apocalypse's enhancement, Magneto's superpowers became extremely terrifying. Even the metal in the depths of the earth can be controlled by him. Magneto vented his hatred in anger. The buildings around him, under his powerful magnetic force, have been turned into powder. On the other hand, Magneto's best friend Mystique learns that Magneto's wife and daughter have been killed. After he killed a bunch of police officers, she was afraid that he would become the target of mankind. So she came to the Mutant Academy founded by Professor X. Asked the professor to use his telepathy and mind control powers to find Magneto. With his super brain, Professor X can sense humans and mutants all over the world. Soon, he found Magneto. But at this time, Magneto's heart was filled with hatred, only wanted to kill all of humanity, to avenge the death of his wife and daughter. At that moment, Apocalypse looked at Magneto. Professor X also sensed the existence of Apocalypse. The two people's spiritual power was instantly connected. So the disaster happened. Apocalypse rolled his eyes and invaded the professor's mental world. The professor's mental power, which had already been amplified by Superbrain, became terrifying after being re-enhanced by Apocalypse. And the professor's mind control is exactly the power Apocalypse has been looking for. Then he used this power to control all the soldiers who were guarding the nuclear weapons. All the nuclear weapons were launched into the sky at the same time. Without nuclear weapons, there was nothing left to threaten him. The little old man on Earth was stunned at this scene. All the world's nuclear weapons were thrown into space. At this point, the professor finally regains his senses and he tells Havoc to destroy the superbrain immediately. The professor just got out of Apocalypse's control. In the next second, Apocalypse teleported directly to the place and captured the professor. Havoc launched an attack to save the professor, but he hit an aircraft and caused a big explosion. With the exclusive background music, Quicksilver came on stage. Quicksilver's superpower is super speed movement. He is the fastest man on Earth. From this almost static picture, we can see how crazy his speed is. At such a critical juncture, he can even take the time to make a shape for people. Finally, the moment before the explosion affected them. All the mutants in the school were rescued except Havoc, which was closest to the explosion point. On the other hand, Apocalypse uses Professor X to send a message to the world. It probably means that I want to destroy everything about you humans. The Earth should be ruled by powerful mutants. But Professor X takes the opportunity to secretly send an encrypted private message to his student Jean, telling her he was in Cairo right now. Jean's superpower is mind control and mind reading, and her mental power is also very strong. But she can't completely control this power for the time being. After knowing the professor's location, a team of Mystique, Jean, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Beast and Quicksilver rushed to Cairo to rescue the professor. Apocalypse is preparing to implement the final step of his plan. As the oldest mutant on the planet, Apocalypse's superpowers are the most powerful of all. With a simple lift of his hand, the entire city's buildings instantly disintegrate into sand and gravel. Then the sand and gravel reunited and turned into another substance. A few moments later, the entire city disappeared. A magnificent pyramid stands towering. Then he used the sand to convert the material to make a helmet and gave it to Magneto. After all, Magneto is his important tool to destroy the world. The purpose of the pyramid is to transfer the consciousness of Professor X. As long as the transfer is successful, he will be able to obtain all of Professor X's powers. The whole world will be under his control. Magneto began to unleash his superpowers, and all the metal flew into the air. Under his powerful magnetic field, all the metal on Earth began to fall apart. Not only the surface of the Earth, but also the depths of the Earth. In a short time, all human civilization will become history. Just as the apocalypse is about to be successfully transferred, Mystique and the others finally arrive. Nightcrawler finds the professor with Jean's guidance, and then used his teleportation to successfully bring him back. Apocalypse, whose ceremony was forcibly interrupted, woke up and roared. He immediately chased out. Quicksilver tried to use his super speed to stop him, but it didn't work on Apocalypse. His eyes quickly caught up with Quicksilver's speed. Then he predicted his position and managed to trap him. Mystique, who had changed into Psylocke, tried to sneak up on Apocalypse. But Apocalypse's healing ability is too perverse. Apocalypse then uses Mystique to threaten the professor to reveal himself. When Mystique was about to be killed, the professor suddenly thought of a way. Although the transfer failed, but he and Apocalypse's spirit world is still connected together. The professor enters Apocalypse's mind. However, he underestimated Apocalypse's mental power, and the professor appeared to be extraordinarily weak in front of him. Just as Apocalypse was about to capture the professor, two large steel bars stopped him. Magneto, who suddenly regretted, attacked Apocalypse. Then Cyclops also joined the battlefield. But this level of attack cannot hurt him at all. The professor was also abused and had no power to fight back. Everything seemed to be a foregone conclusion. At that moment, Jean entered their mental world. The professor only said to her, "Unleash your power." Jean, who had been repressing her power for fear of hurting others, now giving vent to her full power. The next second, Apocalypse's spiritual power was blown to pieces. His physical body was completely unable to resist Jean's attack. Magneto and Cyclops took the opportunity to attack. Apocalypse wanted to escape. Unexpectedly, Storm also betrayed him. Teleportation failed completely. Finally, in Jean's terrible power, Apocalypse completely destroyed. Then Jean and Magneto rebuilt the Mutant Academy. But due to the different views on humans, Magneto still did not choose to stay. After this battle, Professor X has become bald. The rest of the team reunited to form a new generation of X-Men, to continue to meet new challenges. If you like my story, please don't forget to click subscribe. See you next time.